So, Seasaw. I love it. You should too, and let me tell you why. You're probably all too young, I realized after I made this slide, to remember the book. All I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. It was like an early 90s thing. But anyway, as a teacher, a lot of what I think makes a successful teacher, we can learn, and Steph mentioned this earlier, we can learn from kindergarten teachers. And so I learned about Seasaw from my daughter's kindergarten teacher. She's an SK. She had the same teacher last year in JK. And I have two older children, 13 and 16, who there was no technology in terms of communicating with home. But when my daughter started JK, I got this paper that said, here's a QR code, you know, add this to your phone or your tablet, or you can use it on your desktop computer as well. And what the heck is this? But then every day, I get these pictures of my daughter, and I see what she's doing in class, and I see her learning, and I see her explaining her thinking, and I see how her teacher is using this app to track what she's learning. Because under each little thing that's posted, I'll see, well, this ties into, are they called strands in kindergarten or something else?
Expectations overall.
Yeah, so each thing she posts is tied to like innovation and problem solving or contributing and well-being, and it was amazing, and I thought, well, let me have a look at it for myself, and so that's what I did, and I discovered that it's great. So let me tell you why. First of all, Seesaw is collaborative. Yeah?
Are you allowed to have students' pictures of their faces on here in third-party app?
Well, let me get to why I can
Okay,
in just
sorry.
a minute, if I can explain it first.
Sorry, my fault.
So it's collaborative. So I create my class in Seesaw. I can have my students add themselves to that class, and I can share it with parents, right? So it's teacher, student, parent, all contributing. Teachers and students can post items, parents can view items for their own children, not for the whole class, and parents can comment on items as well. So here's just an example of some students got a new seating plan a few weeks ago, and they decided to take a picture of themselves, and I love that they hashtagged it collaboration, because they recognize that we like to collaborate in our class, and other students can like the post or comment on the post. So that's one reason I like it, is because it's collaborative. I also love it because of the folders feature. So as I was saying, the kindergarten teacher tags it to the kindergarten expectations. I created folders in my history classroom at Grand River that tie into our essential learnings. So that's this one, this one, this one, and this one. I have one for learning skills. I also have one for reflective journals, because I have them reflect on their learning after they participate in a learning activity. You can create folders for whatever your needs are in your particular area. I love it because it's easy to use and it's easily accessible. So you can use it on a Chromebook, you can use it on a phone, you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on a desktop. For that reason, because all of our students have Chromebooks, they can all post things to it just using the camera feature on their Chromebook. If they want to take a picture, they can attach things from their Google Drive to it. It's so easy as well because I can document observations and conversations in the moment. So we have a department laptop. I don't have a phone, but I think if I had a phone, it would be even easier. But we have a department laptop, an iPad, and I'll just walk around the room as kids are working, and I'll snap pictures of what they're doing, and then I can just add a little comment to what I see, what I hear, what's going on. I can take a video, I can just post notes, whatever I want to do. I also love, because it's collaborative, that I can put the onus on the students to post things that are relevant to their learning as well. For example, every time they get a rubric back, they have to take a picture of it, and they have to add it to Seasaw, and they have to tag it appropriately to whatever it connects to with respect to their learning. So how I'm using it in my class so far. As part of my LST inquiry this semester, I've decided to go gradeless. my classroom. And so instead of grades, students have to have portfolios of their learning to support what their evaluation should be at the end. So their Seasaw portfolio is all of the evidence of their learning. It contains their products, it contains their observations, it contains conversations. It's all there in one place. For every reporting period, I sit down with the students, we open up Seasaw in front of us, and I say, okay, tell me where you're at. Are you level 3? Are you level 4? They'll tell me where they think they are. I'll say, prove it. Show me the evidence in Seasaw that supports why you think you're at that level. And it's all right there in front of both of us to have a good discussion about. I love it for documenting, like I said, observations and conversations, so I'll take pictures. I listened to this conversation between these two girls. When we cover the paper with blue, it makes the tea stains darker and look better. They were trying to age something for a visual product they were creating. These students were not working very well in class, and I wanted to have an observation of that. So on day 3, they've got the title on their little piece of paper there, and that's all they had completed in 3 days of work. Now, because the students see this, I'm not going to put, oh, these lazy kids didn't do anything for this first 2 periods. It's simply, what do I see? I see the final project has begun to take shape on day 3. I know what that means. They know what that means. Parents will know what that means, but it's simply, here's what I see. I'm not making a judgment. Here's what I see. Overhearing what students are talking about when I'm not part of the conversation. These students were reflecting on, is a brochure the best way to help educate other people in our community about a particular battle in World War II? And they were like, well, I don't know if people are going to pick up the brochure. How can we get people's attention? It was a really good thinking conversation, so I documented it that way. I can also screenshot stuff from their Google Drive that I've gathered in Google Classroom, perhaps. Vanessa was doing her research here. Of the 4 sources she had to collect, 3 of them didn't pass the crack test. I don't know if you all know what the crack test is, but they weren't reliable and relevant sources. So another observation, she needs some work on understanding how to choose appropriate sources of research. And it's all just on the fly. Did you want to ask now, or did you want to wait? Okay. And then as I said earlier, I also have students complete reflections right in Seasaw. So after a major learning activity, they have to talk about, what did I learn, what would I change, really reflect that metacognition piece, reflect on their learning, because all of that, I think, counts into their final evaluation as well. This is what the final product looked like, but here's what I might have done if I could do things differently. I think that's really important to consider as well. And then exit tickets. After a lesson or a period of instruction, I can host a little activity like, hey, here's your question, here's your prompt, they respond, and then I can comment on it. That evening I'll just, go through them and say, hey, thanks for your response. Here's what I see you did. Here's what maybe you could have thought about for next time. And so they'll see that right away, and their parents will see that right away as well. How can you get started? Oh, it's super easy. It's free, which I love. Here's the website which you can go to. So you create a class. You create the folders that you think you want, that you can change throughout the semester. If you change your mind, you can always go back and change that stuff. The students add themselves. You get a code similar to Google Classroom. And so it's not a lot of work for me. I'm not typing in a lot of names. They add themselves. And then, if and when you're ready to invite parents to observe what's going on in Seasaw as well, Seasaw, you go to invite parents, and Seasaw creates this document for you that has a QR code for that child, as well as a link if they want to use it with the desktop. And then parents can observe only things that their own child is tagged in. They don't get to see other students' items. And I don't do this right at the beginning. I wait and see how things are going. When I first started with Seasaw, before I decided whether I wanted parents to have a window into what we were doing. And so at the parent-teacher interviews is when I sent those home and invited parents to join. And so then there's no more question of, you know, what are my kids doing in school? What are they learning? What's happening? How are they doing? The parents see it throughout the semester. I get like no contact from parents through the semester anymore because it's there. And they can ask me a question through Seasaw as well if they need to, which they don't, but they could. So things that I will do next. Seasaw has an activities feature where the community of teachers using Seasaw have created different activities that you can do with it, and you can just borrow from them or you can create their own. I haven't had much of an opportunity to explore that activities library, but I'd like to do that. There is a great community of Seasaw users on Facebook and on Twitter where they're posting what they're doing with their class. Now, much of what it is elementary, but there are quite a few teachers in secondary using it, and so it's great to see what they're doing. I don't spend enough time on Facebook and Twitter looking at that stuff, but that's one of my next steps. And then I haven't used the video and audio features a great deal, but you can have students actually talk out their thinking for things. Like I've seen math teachers use it for students who are completing an equation or something, and they're actually talking out why they're doing it. So I think that's another great tool in terms of observations to use, which I haven't used a great deal, but that's one of my next steps as well. So that's Seasaw. Are there any questions now? Yeah.
Thanks.
Are you using